Hello everybody and welcome back inside the box for another episode of Gunpla Kitbash with me, Kukamatsu. In this episode we'll be hand painting the inner frame to look like metal. So let's jump right in. Okay, time to do some painting of the inner frame. This is all going to be done as a metal. My process is going to be mostly with brushes, but I will do use the airbrush for the primer coat, which is going to be this NATO Black XF69 Tamiya acrylic. One of my favorite parts of this process of kit bashing is to get a unifying color on there and then just see all the stuff start to work together instead of being all these separate weird colored things. Looking great. Next we're going to take Tamiya acrylic gunmetal X10, and I have tried airbrushing this paint on, and it really didn't get a good result in my opinion. It kind of ends up being it's almost like what is it like? It's like metallic car paint in a way, that all of the little flakes end up facing in many directions, so it looks sparkly but it doesn't look like metal. And my theory is that when you brush it on, it's actually kind of pushing the metal flakes down more flat, and it just gives a better result, more metal-like result. So that's why I do this by hand instead of by airbrush. I'm just gonna clean off the brush so it's not too wet. I don't want to get it all goopy and because you're going to end up with stuff in the cracks and stuff like that, and it's not going to be very nice. But I'm just going to give it. It's not quite dry brushing, but there's just not a lot of paint on the brush. But I'm just going to give this a nice once over. And you don't want to end up with brush strokes. That's why I take a lot of the paint off of the brush, so you don't end up with brush strokes on there. It's just fairly thin. Be sure to bend the parts to make sure you get all that underside stuff that might be exposed if you do a pose that's like that. And that stuff that we put on there is really looking nice now. For this next step we use flat aluminum XF16. We're going to do some dry brushing. So I'm going to take some, making sure that the bristles are first of all really infused with the paint, but then you want to remove as much of the paint from it as possible. So I'll rub it on paper towel until it's basically not leaving any paint on the paper towel anymore. There we go. And then just rubbing it gently over the piece, and it just leaves this nice shiny edge. It makes it really look like steel and also accentuates the details more, brings it out. It takes an amazingly small amount of paint to do a large area because it doesn't need much. It just really shows off all the detail that we put in there. Now I'm going to go back in and do some detail painting to make some of these not be metal, like these cables and things like that. But for now, this is fine. And you could actually, for what we're doing with it just showing a little bit through the gaps, this would be probably fine. Okay, that's it for all of the metal painting. It's all done now. There are some little details I do want to paint in, the little pistons that are everywhere. These ones on the side will show. I'm not sure if these will show, but I'm just going to paint them all. And I'm going to do it with this custom color that I have, this custom blue. This is just one of the many custom colors I have left over from another project, and I really like this color for pistons, so I'm going to go ahead and use it. I don't remember what I used to make that color though, unfortunately. Tamiya paint is not usually that great for hand painting because it dries so fast, but for little details like this, it actually is not bad. If you're trying to cover a large area, you might have some trouble, in which case you could add some retarder, and that would slow down the drying time. I've never actually done that because I usually only do hand painting in this kind of situation where it's just a little bit. I've never tried to do large panels with hand painting since I have the airbrush. I'm gonna go get a better brush. This one is terrible. Even our favorite brushes slowly wither away and die, no matter how well you take care of them. It's always good to have backups. It's the kind of detail you may never really see or didn't really notice, but it does add a lot. Just gives the overall feeling of more complexity to the model. There's one last detail that I want to paint, and that is the cables that we put in. I want to be black, and so for that I'm going to use XF85 rubber black. I think that's it for the base painting. And that is the end of the episode. In the next episode, there are just a few more details left to go, including decals, before final assembly. So, if you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you give me a like down below. Check out the playlist if you want to see previous videos. Subscribe if you want to follow along, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.